Welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a really vital mission today, unpacking the core principles behind cultivating a fearless classroom. We're going to explore exactly why fear creeps into our educational spaces, and much more importantly, how you can systematically remove it to fundamentally reduce student anxiety.
Students learn best when they feel safe, not scared. It sounds incredibly simple, right? Almost obvious, but honestly, this empathetic reality is the absolute foundation of all effective learning. Now, in an academic setting, being scared doesn't usually mean running from a physical threat. It's more about the fear of looking foolish, the fear of giving the wrong answer, or just not measuring up to peers. Our source makes it unequivocally clear. Emotional safety isn't just a nice little bonus to have. It is the absolute mandatory prerequisite for students to actually absorb what you're teaching them.
So, that leads us right into the core problem here. The text puts it perfectly. Fear blocks learning. I want you to think of anxiety not just as a feeling, but as a literal, invisible wall that just drops down between the student and your lesson. Picture a student sitting in their chair, gripping their pencil, just absolutely terrified of being called on. In that moment, their brain isn't processing your math equation or the historical timeline. No, their brain is literally processing a threat. That fear actively stifles their participation. It completely shuts down their willingness to raise their hand. It's a massive barrier. And honestly, until we dismantle it, the learning simply cannot get through. Let's think about what this actually looks like in practice by contrasting two very different realities. On one hand, you have the anxious environment. Picture the withdrawn student, totally paralyzed by the fear of failure, just shrinking back to avoid any attention. But on the flip side, our text really highlights the power of a supportive environment. In that kind of space, you've got a confident student, sitting up, energized, eager to participate. And here's the kicker. The difference between the two isn't necessarily the intelligence of the student or even how difficult the subject matter is. The entire difference rests on the environment the teacher has cultivated.
So, the crucial takeaway here is this. A safe environment is absolutely essential for attention and memory to actually function. If a student is scared, their entire cognitive load is consumed by just managing that anxiety. They're literally engaged in emotional survival, not academic retention. But when you establish safety, you free up all that mental bandwidth. The student can finally direct their attention toward the material itself. Their memory can actually encode the information because it isn't being hijacked by stress.
And when we do remove this barrier, we see an immediate, upward shift. First off, focus shifts directly to the material. Without the constant distraction of anxiety, students can actually immerse themselves in the subject. Second, participation increases. The source notes that a truly supportive environment helps students participate without that nagging fear of failure. And third, confidence builds. It's really a beautiful upward spiral. When they participate and aren't punished for trying, their confidence grows, which, you guessed it, makes them want to participate even more.
Okay, so we understand the psychology, and we definitely understand the stakes. Now it's time for the how-to. Let's pivot from the theory side of things and open up our actionable educator toolkit with some strategies for fearless classrooms. The source material outlines some highly specific strategies you can implement right away. Here is a fantastic three-step process derived directly from the text. Step 1, set clear expectations. Look, ambiguity breeds anxiety. When students know exactly what is expected of them, a massive layer of fear is immediately removed. Step 2, provide patient encouragement. Now, this isn't just about tossing out a quick, good job. It's really about how you support them through the struggle. And step 3, frame mistakes as learning opportunities. We are going to dig a little deeper into these last two because they are truly transformative.
Let's dive into that second step, patient encouragement. What does that actually mean? Well, it means providing consistent, supportive feedback that helps students participate without the fear of failure. And the absolute key word here is patient. It means giving a student the actual time they need to articulate a thought without rushing them along. It's about guiding them to the right answer rather than just handing it to them or quickly moving on to the next student. This kind of steady, reliable support, it literally neutralizes anxiety over time. It proves to the student day after day that they are genuinely in a safe space to try.
Now we have to address the final, and honestly perhaps the most crucial mindset change required in a fearless classroom, and that's rethinking student mistakes. This is where the battle against classroom anxiety is truly won or lost. If a mistake is treated as a moment of shame, boom, that invisible wall of fear goes right back up. But if we change the narrative around what a mistake actually is, we completely flip the dynamic of the entire room.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway from our source material. Create a classroom where mistakes become opportunities to learn. This is the gold standard, folks. When a student gives a wrong answer, it is not a failure.
It's a data point. It is a totally necessary stepping stone on the path to understanding. When teachers actively model this, when they actually celebrate the attempt and then gently guide the correction, mistakes completely lose their sting. The fear evaporates, and true, deep learning takes its place.
So, I want to turn this over to you for a second. Which strategy will you try this week? Are you going to focus on setting clearer expectations? Will you practice that patient encouragement when a student is really struggling to find the right words? Or maybe you'll actively reframe a mistake in real time, showing your class that it's just a regular opportunity to learn. I really challenge you to implement just one of these tactics this week and simply observe how it changes the energy and participation in your classroom.
We're going to wrap up this explainer with one final, incredibly empowering thought. A fearless classroom builds confidence. By removing fear, you aren't just teaching a subject, you're developing a student's fundamental belief in themselves. You're giving them the ultimate tool they need to succeed, not just for your upcoming test, but in life. Just think about how much potential is locked away behind fear and realize that you literally hold the keys to unlock it. So what could your students achieve if they truly believed they had nothing to fear?